Hi, I'm Laura Zukowski, and we're ready for some more barrel racing tips, tricks, and taking time off the clock. Today, we are going to talk about the all-important gate issues. Hi, all you badass barrel racers!
Laura Zukowski and my highest calling.
Hot in the kitchen, fires reach the skies. I got a fever from the visions, and it's pure desire. What's going on, help me?
First rule of thumb I'm going to tell everyone is if your horse all of a sudden develops gait issues, it's time to see a vet. There's lots of different things you can do. Make sure you see a good lameness vet and make sure that they are sound going in there, because a horse doesn't just develop gait issues, there's always a reason for it. And that could be one of the reasons. I see it all the time with horses that are a little off, they're a little lame, and then they start to hate their job. And gait issues can cause a lot of problems that start to snowball, because then all of a sudden you start worrying about their gait issues, which perpetuates them even more. So that's why just take them right to the vet, make sure that they're sound. Okay, so your horse comes back from the vet and they're sound, and now you're like, well, now what the hell do I do? You know, that probably means that the issue comes from the rider. I'm going to tell it to you here first. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I would say 90% of the time it's the rider. Even if the horse is a little off, usually they won't develop gait issues that are that prevalent. I was at a barrel race and the gal could not get her horse in, and I had to go help her. She was clamped up on the reins like this and asking her horse to go. There was a whole crowd of people trying to help this horse in and petting him and telling him good boy, and then she even tried using the whip to try and get him in, leading him in. Once she let him in, she got on him and he just froze and would not go forward. He totally refused. And he was a good old boy, 20-year-old horse, and a younger rider. And I told her, ride him like he's going to go. Ride him like he's going to go forward. And the first thing she said is, I can't. So a lot of this is mindset. Horses are such sensitive... Horses are such sensitive creatures. They can detect your nerves a mile away. The first thing we need to start working on is the rider. When you go in, or you even start thinking about going in to a barrel pattern, what do you feel? Are you excited? Are you scared? Are you nervous? Your horse is going to feel the same things, especially if they're a jacked up barrel horse who's ready to go. Then it's going to make the problem even worse. It's fine on a horse that's more of a deadhead and you get nervous. Maybe that's the type of horse that you need, is a horse that isn't as amped up as, let's say, Poppy, who's ready to go. But you need to know how to handle the other horses too. So if I have a horse that's really hot and nervous, I want to make sure that I check myself before I go in there and take some deep breaths, really think about the pattern, what I'm going to do, be nice and calm, and make sure that my body language tells her that. When I go in, I like to go ahead and pick my spot and really concentrate on where I'm going to be running my horse to. I'm not concentrated on what's going to happen in the gate. Like I said, the more you worry about it, the more your horse is going to worry about it, and then you're going to think about that for the next race, and then it's going to be worse, and then it's going to be worse, and then it's going to be worse. I can't tell you how many times I've got on a horse that has gait issues, and they walk flat-footed in. That's the first indicator to me that the rider is way too nervous. Another problem in gait issues is inconsistency. So maybe one time you're going to run your horse all the way up into the first barrel, and then you pull him on the backside, and then you kick him to the second barrel, and then you go wide off the third. And that is not only frustrating to you, but it's very frustrating to your horse. The more times you do that, and the more inconsistent you are with, like, let's say your warm-up, your routine, your saddling routine, your riding routine, like, your horse is losing confidence in you. And they're going to run this really scary pattern. You think it's scary. Your horse has to be the one to run it and run 1,000 miles an hour and turn really hard. So you have to be the one that has the confidence and be the leader to go ahead and take them around the barrels so that they have you to look to. They're a flight animal. We are not. So it's our responsibility to have the leadership over them. And when I say leadership, I don't mean like bow down to me, I'm the big bad barrel racer. I mean more, you know, like a good leader, like a nice boss that you have at work. Or I like to compare it to at my clinics to a mom. You know, what kind of mom do you want to be? You can be the bossy, controlling mom, or you can be the mom that lets the kids get away with anything and you have little brats. So it's all about finding that fine line where you have that good relationship with your horse when your horse is like, oh shit, you know, they have someone to look to. That's what I really like to do, is to give my horse confidence in how I'm riding. I already know my plan, what I'm going to do. There should be nothing scary about this. We're just going to go do it. And that's where you can go and run the perfect barrel pattern. And again, if you need to watch that, link is right here, and I'll put a link in the comments for you too, because once you have that perfect barrel pattern and you can do that consistently, then all these fears should go away. Another problem I see too is people that hold up on their horses. A lot of horses, once they know their job, they're ready to go do their job. And you're pulling on them and saying, oh, not yet, or sometimes I'll pull here and sometimes I'll pull there, and they have nowhere to go because you're constantly pulling on them. Then that's when they're just going to, their mind is just going to go. They're going to blow their mind. And they just can't handle that constant contact without just the release and the letting go. Sometimes you may have to run your horse from the back 40 just to keep them moving forward and relaxed, and to keep their mouth tender, because also when you're holding on them like that all the time, then their mouth is dead to go in, and then you're just going to be pulling on nothing. And you don't want to piss them off, especially an older horse knows their job. Stay out of their way and just go forward. And a lot of people, they'll go in like this. So even when I hold up on Poppy, she look back at me like that, but I want her to ask to go forward. My body language has to say forward and confidence. There's also the horse that not only gets hot in the gait and starts to go up when you're pulling on them, like a rearing horse or a jumpy, bouncy horse. There's also the horse that freezes, like I was telling you before. A horse that goes in and is sticky and is like, no. What I like to do is I like to take one rein, because if you take two reins, then you're in the possibility that they're going to go up and over. So we want to avoid that. So I like to take one rein and get them to at least move 1 foot a different direction. So if we have to go this way to get them to move forward, or this way, and again, I want to be moving with my seat, because if you're just going to be pulling and holding like this and ask her to go around, then they're not going to come around. So I want to be asking her, like, no, it's going forward, it's okay, we got this, and using one rein, never two, because like I said, that's not only dangerous, but it's not effective. So, or I like to make sure that they're bent and loose. And even if I have to disengage the hind to get them to move forward, I'll do that, like this. Just whatever it's going to take to get forward motion without getting hurt. And I don't like the bat thing, and hitting them, whipping them, over and undering, that's not going to be effective either. Also, petting them, and coaxing them is not going to be effective. I was at a barrel race, and they were trying to get this older gelding in. They're good boy, and they were walking alongside of them, both of the people. Good boy, nobody's even riding the horse. The only thing you're doing is teaching your horse to have gait issues, because he's like, oh, now they're going to pet on me, and I just walk in, and sometimes I don't even have to do the damn pattern. I even saw her give him a treat on the way in. So you have to be conscious of what you're doing with your horse at all times. What are you communicating with your horse? If she's stopping and spooking at something at the gate, and I go, oh, good girl, and I take her up to it, then she's like, oh, spooking's kind of cool. I get pet. So I'll go ahead and I'll work her. I'll make it the wrong thing hard and the right thing easy. So you have to be conscious that even in the gate, when the pressure's on and everybody's watching you and they're all waiting for you, do what's best for you and your horse. Don't be worried about what everybody else is saying. Again, don't forget to subscribe and ding that notification bell so that you don't miss any more of these cool tips and tricks, because there's a ton more to come. And like I said, if you have any cool ideas or you want to see more, comment below, because I love hearing your ideas and what you guys want to see. And go to badassrodeo.com, where you can find the free booklet on how to run the perfect barrel pattern and follow along with me on the videos. Settle down!